coming. Tonight we have a special event which will be held in English, of course. It's an event organized in partnership with DocuDays UA Film Festival from Ukraine. We have already done an event with them in the warm-up of the festival, so we are continuing with this. The title of the event is The Responsibility of Cinema in the Face of Russian Invasion, because it's a very important topic nowadays to discuss among people of culture, artists, filmmakers, and tonight we have like a hybrid format, like we have live guests, and we will also have on the screen a few guests. I will introduce them all. Next to me is Zana Ozirna. Jana, I'm bad with, please correct me, all of you, with my pronunciation is very bad. So Jana Ozirna, is it correct? Okay. Who's the producer and director and who actually has been in Romania for some days?
I'm a film director and a screenwriter.
Ah, okay.
A participant of Romanian screenwriting residency Pusnik. That's why I'm right now currently in Bucharest.
We are very lucky that you were here and were able to come.
It's like a coincidence, but still I'm also happy to be here.
And next we have Bogdan Zhuk, a programmer for the Molodist International Film Festival in Kiev. Hello, Bogdan.
Hello. Hi.
Nice to have you here online, but still.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here as well.
Next we have Serhiy Ksaverov. This I'm so bad. Film critic, member of the International Federation of Film Press, and curator of the Kiev Critics Week. Hello.
Hi everyone, happy to be here. It's Ksaverov.
Ksaverov, yeah.
It's like you pronounce Xavier Dolan, you know? Ksaverov. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. And Natalia Libet, producer, who also has a very beautiful film in the festival, Ply, A Mountain Path, which we showed this weekend, and it was very appreciated by the audience. So thank you very much, Natalia, for the beautiful film and for being with us here today.
Thank you for inviting the film. It was the film's world premiere, so we appreciated it very much. And thank you for inviting me here.
Thank you. So guys, I suggest I'm gonna start with some questions, but at the same time, the audience, whenever you have a question, please raise your hand and wait until I turn my head. And please participate as much as you want. This is an open discussion. It's an important topic to debate amongst ourselves. So feel free to intervene when you want. At first, I would like to ask, what is the situation now with cultural events in Ukraine? I know that DocuDays has been postponed indefinitely, Molodist has been postponed indefinitely. So maybe you can give us like a very brief overview of what is going on right now in terms of the cultural scene in Ukraine with the Russian invasion and all.
From what I know, yes, many events have been either cancelled or postponed. Like our festival, like DocuDays, like many others, if we're talking about film events, basically everything has been cancelled or postponed. Some things may be happening online. And I think a similar situation is in other fields of culture. So basically, while there is war, we are questioning whether it's reasonable to do anything, in addition to, obviously, the possibility itself of organizing some event. Because our festival, for instance, is in Kiev, and it's not quite safe. Well, it's not safe anywhere in Ukraine at the moment, but Kyiv being one of the main targets of Russia, it's it's impossible to do anything there. Though, from what I see, there are some events that are kind of resuming operations at least, and or working on something with hopes, like we are as well, working on the festival, at least on the program, hoping that we will be able to do it, well, later this year. We don't know when, but yeah, we have hope.
Okay.
I can
Yes,
shortly add, because I'm also the selector of two short film festivals. Like, first one is from Lviv, it's Vizart short film festival, and another one is Linoleum Animation Film Festival. So we are preparing right now for online edition. They are probably will be much shorter, but we are like picking up right now like very intensive and strong program. So yeah, we are hoping to make them online.
Okay.
I can only add that we have small festival, Kyiv Critics Week. It's the last week of October, usually in Kiev, and for now we intend it to be held on time and offline.
Okay.
It's actually first public announcement of it.
Wow.
But there is intent to do it, and I think if all gonna be all right and we're all gonna be safe, we're gonna do it.
Yeah. I can also add 2 points. One is that cinema theaters have been working for some time, like in the towns in the west of Ukraine. And recently, I believe that several cinemas got opened in Kyiv. They used to screen the previous year releases, all children and family films, focusing on the audience of children and their mothers who have been relocated from eastern and central Ukraine to the west. But recently, the Batman got released, and now you can watch it in cinemas too. And also, there is a small cultural center just finished probably after the construction last year in a small town, Chernovtsi. It's also in the west of Ukraine, and they're making some cultural events related to cinema and theater. So yeah, the cultural life has been going on for some time, even like the shorter version.
In a way, as a relief from the struggle of war, from what I understand. So they, in their programming, they take into account how they can positively contribute to the state of the people, from what I understand from you. Okay.
Yeah. That's why they're showing children and family films mostly, and because and also films like which have some hope and light in them, and it's like Stop Земля by Katerina Gornostaim. I've produced among my producers fellows too. It's been released for like again like. For like this special release because of the situation we have now. So yeah, things like that. But of course, for example, this American film Batman is not really nice. If I don't know if you've seen it or not, it's very dark.
And grim.
It is very dark, and it's about violence and all other stuff. So, but it's also for older audience. So I think it's and because of the situation in Ukraine and the lack of financing for distributors. Films are not to be dubbed anymore. Like the new releases like Batman, there will be, and they are subtitled, and so you can watch them in original language, only subtitled into Ukrainian, which is a big relief for cinemaphiles like me. And so you can go and watch films in original language. You don't have to look for them because they're mostly dubbed. Fully dubbed, actually. So
I didn't know that.
this is the change. Yeah. This is the change in the market right now. So I would appreciate if it's continued further and after the war. And so.
Actually, about the mood, of people, I know about screenings in Lviv, which held by Dovzhenko Center. It's our greatest archive, and they made some not free ticket, free screenings for everybody, and they chose like light-hearted comedies that not everyone, not anybody would be triggered by them, you know. And actually, I have connection to some screenings here in like volunteer center, just for the people they want by the end of the week to watch some movie, and I always ask them, what do you want to choose? They say, oh, something funny, something to be distracted from the war right now.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so because we are here to talk about the responsibility of culture and of people of culture in the face of the invasion, a lot of reactions have appeared from filmmakers, from artists regarding the war, both international, but also from the Russian side, from the Ukrainian side. Maybe we can discuss a bit about these reactions that were already. So, of course, we are not talking about the propagandistic ones, which we know already, the Russian propaganda, but we would like to talk more about the people who oppose the war, but yet they have different positions, you know, because some people clearly ask for a boycott of the Russian culture on all fronts, whereas other people are more moderate. And let's say among this was also Sergei Loznitsa's position against the boycott, despite the fact that it was asked by the Ukrainian Film Agency. So maybe we can discuss a bit about this, what your thoughts on this are. All who wants to say?
I can begin, Natalia?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I can add to your, we can go opposite way. It's up to us.
Okay, let's say that the first reaction from Ukrainian film community was, I would say, rather emotional, yeah? And of course, it was understood, like in the West, in America, like total boycott of Russian culture, like cancel of Russian culture. In fact, many of us, I think, are pro, I would say, boycott at the time of the war of Russian cultural product, and that is an main issue for, I believe, many of us.
So you are pro a total boycott of all Russian culture? Because
I wouldn't call it Russian culture. I believe that we are talking about, I mean, the stress on the product at first and mainly, because we cannot stop culture. Culture is everywhere. Politics is a culture. Every basically, everything is culture. So it would be useless and absurd to call for boycott Russian culture or cancel Russian culture. So we talk about mainly in our way our film community. So we talk about boycott of Russian films, and mainly because I believe the other speakers may agree or disagree, but this is about money, taxes that go to Russia, about films that were funded by the state, so they are seen by the state, Russian state, as somehow beneficial to them or benevolent. Or Russian propaganda always uses their film or international successes of their films like their successes. So it is now vitally important to block the Russian propaganda from using it. And it's just maybe one thing among others. Maybe Natalia, Bogdan, Жанна can add something to it?
No, I can add to that, like from the economical point of view. Because like 5 minutes ago I was talking about Batman, so I can give you this example as like there's a little bit broader than the Batman itself. So you know that the countries, the EU, the United States, and the other countries expose or put economical sanctions to the Russian market and their like economy and etc. In order to not to be involved financing terrorism. So one reason, because selling even water in Russia now and paying taxes means that you're indirectly subsidizing terror, army, weapons, and invasion to Ukraine. That's first thing. And second thing, to make Russian market and Russian business and Russian politics smaller internationally. So that's two big reasons why, for example, Warner Brothers, Sony Classic and Sony Pictures, and Disney, and whatever, all American studios, they postponed the release of their films until the war is over and Russian army is out of Ukraine and the repatriation is in the process, and the courts have done the decisions to prosecute prosecute the army and the rest. It's sorry for my English now. So anyway, so this is like the point that was announced, and also it was announced in the Ukrainian Film Academy that it's not really. It's about postponement. It's about suspension until the terrorists, as the country, as people involved in the terror, are prosecuted, like as it should be. So so the same is about Russian culture and about Russian sports. If you look at the sports area, like the participation of Russian sport athletes have been cancelled for many international and world events. Like the events that they were supposed to be held in Russia were moved to other countries, and so on and so forth. So it's a very strong point for Putin and his propaganda and his surroundings. And 70% of people in Russia who believe that the war is in Ukraine or in any other country is right if Russia does it. So it's incredibly, it's such an incredible figure that like majority of people do want to be in war with other people, and they are open about it. And it's actually why I would say that the Russian culture has failed one of the most important and essential points of the culture itself. Culture should preserve humanity in its country or on its territory. And the humanity has not been preserved. It's the opposite way. The culture exploited the worst in people's mind, throwing them into the action of war against other people. I mean, it's just, when I think about it, my mind blows up. Literally, it's even difficult for me to speak about it. How a human being could desire to kill another one to get his land, possessions, wife, husband, children, and all kind of atrocities Ukraine has been experienced since actually 2014, and now in the incredible amount, but much bigger number since February 2022. I mean, culture has to preserve it. It's just not even has to, it's must. Culture must preserve humanity. And Russian culture does completely different thing. And we don't know why. I mean, it's a point of the analysis further on, I don't know when. But so the statement and the call for analysis of situation in culture, it's a call for postponement, it's a call of suspension of including products of Russian culture. Yeah, I would go like Sergei has just mentioned, should be done in like an openly, and it's gonna be fair, because in any way through including Russian products of Russian culture and sports in any international events right now, these events indirectly subsidize terror. And it's again about shared responsibility. Would you want to subsidize terror? I don't want to. That's my human being. I don't want to subsidize anyone who kills. So something like that. I tried to explain the nature of the suspension of Russian culture, like products of Russian culture right now in international arena as much as I could. So, but I can go on further.
So, Jana, you also wanted to add something.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, we are talking about, you told about boycott and cancel. We try to shift this definition to suspension and put on pause, which is, for me, it's very natural and obvious. In the end of March of this year, we got number of supporters of invasion in Russia, and 83% of Russian people support invasion in Ukraine of Russia. 83%, and I believe that Russian intellectuals, Russian culture set up the road for Russian tanks, Russian military cars for this whole invasion, because Russian intellectuals and culture itself is the essence of people's mentality actually. Because if we are talking about responsibility, we should put a very simple question to us: did Russian intellectuals, Russian culture agents do their job properly? And what is their job. So it's just like raising up their questions or do something with their compatriots, yeah, to explain something, or did they manage to decolonize their own mentality? Because if you look closer to their speeches, to their interviews, how they behave, with what money they are dealing right now, you are just understand that they cannot manage to decolonize their own imperialistic mentality. It's very easy to explain on like simple, two simple, no, it's not events, but like names. Sorry, when I started to talk about this, I just got nervous a little bit. First one, it's maybe you know, it's like a big Russian modern author, writer, Boris Akunin. So he recently established foundation which is called The Real Russia, and he's like trying to explain that Putin is not Russian people, they're good Russians, blah blah. And with help of this foundation, he's trying kind of to help Ukrainian refugees right now. But this writer didn't do 8 years ago when the real war started, actually, when Crimea was annexed and all these things that you already know about Ukrainian history. He didn't express his opinion on this first, and the second one, he wrote a series of books about the Russian history, and on this, based on these books, actually, based on this Russian mythology this guy created, Putin kind of justify his invasion as well, because a couple of months ago, maybe he didn't mention his awful speech about that Lenin created Ukraine and Ukraine doesn't exist as a state at all. I didn't hear any Russian voices actually to talk worldwide about this actually historical speech which justified the invasion right now. This first one example, yes, and the second is I'm going to come with my, I have a film in development which I shoot this year. It should my first feature, but I obviously postponed it, yes, and in Cannes, you know, probably that will be a feature of Kirill Serebrennikov, a Russian film director, feature called Tchaikovsky's wife. Yeah, actually, by the way, not by the way, but for your information, Tchaikovsky is mentioned in Trostyanets, Sumshina in Ukraine. It was recently bombed and completely destroyed by Russian bombs. So this is how they like thinking about their kind of great composer, right? So Kirill Serebrennikov, he is the dissident. He was like under home kind of arrest and all these things, yeah. But he like everybody knows that he is a friend of Vladimir Surkov, who is an advisor of Vladimir Putin and actually one of the creator of Russian propagandistic machine. So like, considering all Russian kind of dissidents who are kind of good Russians and all this stuff, we should really, really take very close look to everybody and understand that these people are avoiding their shared responsibility right now. They didn't pop up before like 8 years ago or like maybe 20 years ago, when all Russians talked all the time that Ukraine is not existing state, that we are all like part of Russian culture, kind of great Russian culture. What does it mean, great Russian culture? Russian culture for centuries appropriated smaller voices. They uses our culture all the time. They called us South Russian kind of way. For example, there is Marat Hellman, who is a famous contemporary art gallerist. He picked, for years, he picked a collection from 90s till 2000s of very famous Ukrainian contemporary artists, Tistol, Hmelitsky, Alexander Roybut, etc. Like it's like big names in Ukraine. He collected their paintings, and he called this collection South Russian Wave. And then he like shared this collection before invasion. They saw this like just like some smaller people talking in their mixed language. We just I don't know. And do they know somebody except Shevchenko, for example, or do they know our film directors? No, they don't bother themselves to educate, at least, and don't tell about decolonization because it's like super long process. You should be brave to do it, you know, you should be brave to shut up actually. Not like talking all the time about how poor you are. No, poor people whose children are raped and tortured. These people are poor. And poor people like whose projects postponed. We cannot like talk, yeah, but Russians are not poor. They like did enough. And I'm not sorry at all. Okay, from our delegation, I'm the most radical one, but I'm not sorry at all about any of the most poorest dissidents from Russia. Sorry.
Okay, maybe we should also open to the public if there are questions.
Can I just continue?
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of us are lucky to be alive, just for you to understand. And this is never going to be comparable to what Russians are, whatever, feeling or experiencing. We have lost already a lot. And this is not comparable. Like, I would be, for instance, if the Russian army captured Kiev in the beginning of this full-scale invasion, and if I stayed there, I am sure that I would be dead. And because, there was a report in February that from the American intelligence that they have a list of the Russians, the KGB has a list of several hundred LGBT activists. And I'm not like a big activist, but I am the curator of an LGBT program. So I'm pretty sure if that list exists, I am definitely on that list. And that would mean that they would easily just kill me. So, you know. And this concerns a lot of, most Ukrainians or people in Ukraine. We are lucky to be alive, and we have already lost more than they ever will. So yes, the world should not be concerned how the Russians are feeling. And I think this is the essential problem here is that it's not only about Russian colonialism, it's also about the Western one, because their treatment of Ukraine is kind of the same, and I have seen this in the film industry as well. Ukrainian culture is less important than Russian. I have seen this in very numerous examples. And this whole war needs to change not just the vision, not only of Ukraine, but the whole world in a more broader sense. Like, we have a lot of great writers, filmmakers, artists, but why doesn't the world know about it? They are not worse than, your beloved Dostoevsky or Tolstoy, which I couldn't bear to read, for instance, just because, not interested. But why doesn't the world know about it? Because they have all been silenced, and they have all been almost erased. Some have been fully erased from the history. Some survived, and some art of these people survived, but if anyone wants that, go on.
I can only add that unfortunately I agree with Bogdan on colonialism of the West and why they treat Russia the same as one of them. I'm sorry. This image of Great Russia was constructed by Russia itself, actually, for more than 200 years, and the part of the problem of perceiving the Russia from West, it's seen as a whole empire because it became part of Europe when the colonialism was largely completed. So it was never seen, this Ukraine or Caucasus, yeah, these parts are just blank spots, they are just part of the empire. These voices rarely were heard in the West. But in fact, West deconceptualized itself. Deconceptualized its colonial past. It was never made by Russia because of different nature of colonialism. Because, you know, British Commonwealth had its colonies in Australia, in USA, in India. All territories that were colonized by Russia or that have been colonized by Russia, they are close to Russia. So they were never seen actually as colonies. This type, yeah, I can only add that unfortunately I do not believe. No, I believe that this treatment of Russia will go on and on.
Okay, I would like to ask the audience because I would really like you to also have a chance to ask questions. I saw Adrian's hand.
Hello. Do it? Okay. Thank you. Good evening, and thank you all for being here. On this whole discussion about the eternal Russian soul, pardon my French, but fuck the Russian soul, because these are discussions that I've been assisting for a very long time, since the full-scale invasion of 24 February, because obviously this war started earlier and most of us in Europe ignore it, or we didn't perceive it as an invasion then, which it was. I think because we live in 2022, I'm speaking only from someone who is not in Ukraine, even though I lived in Ukraine and I was also developing a documentary there last year, which is not going to happen. The protagonist of our film is in a small town in Kherson region, which is now occupied by the Russians, and we have a sporadic contact with her. We just know that they're rounding up people there, very old school Cheka and KVD style of approaching things. So, from the perspective of a non-Ukrainian, I think people in Europe and in the West, because they live in 2022, they don't understand that this is an event on par with World War II, and in this case, the Russian Empire, the Soviet Empire, Russian Empire, it doesn't matter if it's the Soviet Union or the Russian Empire, because the same mentality is behind it, is playing the role of the Nazis. And they're conducting a full-scale genocide in Ukraine. They even brought some mobile crematoria there. They're deporting hundreds of thousands of people, and they're doing a very sinister thing of kidnapping children, because their birth rate is completely, it's a disaster, because they ran their country into the ground, and they're kidnapping children, Ukrainian children, to make up for this gap, which is among the many sinister things they did, it's one of the most sinister. And when it comes to culture, I doubt during World War II in London, the London Symphony Orchestra was playing a lot of Wagner, or if British filmmakers or artists at the time were thinking, oh, but what are the Germans artists who don't agree with the Nazis think, you know? Because filmmakers or artists then, many of them were on the front lines because they didn't have a choice, I mean from the Allied side. The co-director of my previous film, Helena Maxion, she's now in the Joint Forces Operation area, somewhere between Donetsk and Luhansk, and she's a medic, and she has a Kalashnikov on her back, and she didn't ever imagine that she would do this in her life, ever. She's one of the most peaceful people I ever know. She wouldn't hurt anyone. Yet this Russian soul has come to put her in this position. And there are many other filmmakers. Alisa Kovalenko is also another director who is in a frontline unit. Alex Shepika, who is a producer, and I can count many others who have interrupted their careers, their dreams, in order to fight this evil invader. And there should be a process of decolonization. With Nazi Germany, it happened that it was occupied by the army that defeated it. And that's how we got denazification. Russia also needs to be denazified, actually, and decolonized. But because it has nuclear weapons, we can't occupy it. So the only solution for Russia is complete isolation until it does this process itself and accepts this collective guilt and stops invading other people's countries and stealing their culture and their children. And I also had a question, because I don't speak about Russia a million years. I think what he said was inspiring, that they're trying to make their festival live in Kyiv. And I was wondering if there's any feeling, because I feel that Ukrainian film production needs to move, and I'm hoping that financing will come, or for some project there is some financing in place now and they can at least start or do some completions. I know some people who are completing projects now. I'm wondering, what do you think about the perspective of actually shooting this year some films, even in Western Ukraine, even in these conditions, just to keep the industry alive, keep some of the professionals working, and I mean, do you have some thoughts on that? Thanks. Sorry for the long.
Yes, I can answer because I'm a producer. So let's divide the fiction and documentary. As of right now, we have lots of documentary projects going on, but it's not about like projects as filmmakers know exactly what they want to achieve. It's still under the collection of the material, because it's the time to collect and document what's happening in Ukraine, maybe to find a character or characters, and then to put it together when the filmmakers will be able to reflect what they've lived through, and etc. You know, like this is the documentary style of filming. Concerning, and they operate with very small teams, like maximum 3 people, and sometimes it's one person, DOP and director and the sound in one person, so all together. So if we speak about shooting, like principal photography for fiction, then it's a much bigger teams. And in this part, producer's task is not to organize it Gadila's way, but to make it proper. And there are 3 things that producer has to do. It's the preserve director's vision, to support, to organize the team's safety and financial, psychological, physical, and financial safety, and to make sure that the costs are within the confirmed or financed budget. So there are 3 stones that producer has to make. And imagine there's a war going on, and there are airstrikes, and you don't know when. I always say, I would like to have a schedule of airstrikes that I can plan my day, my night, how I live actually, because within these hours I stay in the shelter, and within these hours I work or I spend time with my friends. Of course, it's not possible. It's like a job of mine. So you never know when the airstrike gets into a target and whether your team or not is there. So imagine a producer organizing a principal photography of a fiction of like 50 or 100 people, and then the shelling is on and the rocket gets into the target, which is probably nearby, and still several people are injured. There is no safety, and the producer is responsible. As a producer, I don't want to take any responsibility of putting a person somewhere that this person could be killed. I mean, it's not normal. So I would say that the principal photographer or fiction film is not possible to organize and take responsibility for in Ukraine right now. But it's my personal opinion based on how I pursue producing and organizing principal photography.
Natalia, actually, I have a question for you. So, as far as you know, many fiction film productions now are put on hold. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, but I also know that, for example, there is an open call for development of Polish-Ukrainian projects, including fiction. And in this case, the project, or the Polish Film Institute is making this special gesture, saying that it should be a Polish-Ukrainian story. It could be with, it could be told by Ukrainian authors, with Ukrainian writers and Ukrainian director, and they are saying that it could be shot in at the end, because now it's the development open, and then they will open a production financing scheme for those projects, and they could be shot in Poland. So in terms of locations like fields and rivers and things like that, and not open city on the streets, it could be made in Ukraine. In terms of streets with the Polish language signs, it still could be done, replaced with Ukrainian signs. In terms of apartments, it's all in the hands of, and studios, it's all in the hands of set designers. So it is possible to work on that this kind of way. But for how many years and how many years will it take? It's just, and not for every project, of course. Every project is very different.
I want to add one short example of independent short film, because I have a friend, she is a producer and also a founder of contemporary Ukrainian cinema NGO. Valeria Sichvech. She's working with Philip Sudnichenko. It's one of the famous young film director who is working kind of on the age of he's working kind of in mockumentary style. It's fiction, but looks like documentary and with documentary material. And I heard that maybe 1 month ago, they managed to shoot in Uzhhorod. It's in western part of Ukraine, where they been for some weeks. They managed to shoot kind of mockumentary during the war, kind of couple that experienced this time. But I didn't see the material. I just saw that they looked for the actors and they had this idea, so probably this is one of the first fiction film of war times in Ukraine.
And are there other proposals from other countries other than Poland to help with fiction and to help, with funds and with
Yes, sure. I mean, Lithuania, Slovakia, Czechia, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Sweden, Estonia, Latvia. Yep.
Okay.
In different ways, with the different budgets and the amounts of financing, but the countries are very different, you know, like Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia are small countries, and then Poland is very big in their film industries, and financing is rather bigger, much bigger amount, so it depends on the country. But I mean, I would say, like, I don't know any film funds which don't want to help. I mean, the ways that they are able to do it, you know? Like, in my experience, they all want to help, and they create, they think about how to do it, how to arrange it, how to comply with their rules, and, you know, all this.
Okay.
Anything from Romanian CNC? Had to check.
No, yeah, it's better to check, because I haven't been in touch with this Romanian fund, actually. But I will be in Cluj in June, so maybe I'll meet someone from the fund there.
Then I will see you there, if you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, in person, finally.
In person, yes.
Yeah. I'm handling first cut the lab.
First cut lab.
I'm a project coordinator. It's the job help that I received from Matthew Dara and his Tatina Films, which is organizer of the film cut labs and other programs, so with editing and marketing, film marketing. So yeah, I will be there for 3 days.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Because I think we can take maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Or if not, I will ask. Because I have more questions. Maybe I would like to ask, like, what can the international community, because we talked about the responsibility of Western cultures as well and Western intellectuals, what can the others do to support Ukrainian culture, and in what way, other than this, what they are doing, like offering access to their funds, to their countries, and maybe donating, and also ensuring a representation of Ukrainian culture abroad, and ensuring a continuation of Ukrainian culture, of production of Ukrainian culture. So what else do you feel like others could do?
How do you that one? Sorry, this is like no, like you mean from culture.
From culture, yes.
Well, they could buy vests, at least, if not have weapons, even the ones from culture.
No, yes, I mean, there are several funds that are working with us, and when I'm asked about the needs, I usually say it's a safety gears, meaning the waterproof, not water, bulletproof vests and helmets, and so like safety gear, and then all kind of video equipment for cameras, like lenses and batteries, and you know, all kind of this stuff, especially batteries, because people literally they document a lot, like camera is on, you know, because you don't know, you cannot even predict what's going to happen, you know, like within a second. So usually camera continues rolling non-stop, so batteries to keep the material. Also the cloud servers that you can upload your material, and someone, for example, in France or Germany or Romania can download it and put it in a kind of hard driver and secure it, but also so then you can ship it when you need it, and so you have several copies like with you, then online on cloud, and then someone's hard disk, so like 3 copies, 2 hard and 1 online, things like that. And of course, like for funds, like grants and stipends and like money to support filmmakers, you know, like with their needs of living, you know, like because they don't have any income right now. So like things to buy food, you know. Yes, this kind of form of financing residencies, but it's maybe not. Sometimes some filmmakers need them now. Some would need it later when they would be able to reflect on on the material they collected. So it's important that the opening of residences should not be, you know, postponed or canceled, or, you know, we give a residence this year, so we're not going to give a residence to Ukrainian filmmakers next year. No, I think it should be a long-term program, because first of all, we don't know when the war is going to end and how. So it means that it should be like at least 5-year-long commitments for the programs. So yeah, I mean, you can write your colleagues, what's up, how are you, like some good words. It's also very important that they don't feel like they're isolated somewhere, you know, like in a deep shit. Yeah.
And maybe also in the sense that how can the rest, like the other countries, the other people of culture from other countries help with the decolonization process that we were talking about before?
I mean, it's kind of a big question, you know, but the only thing I want to say that Europe thinks that this war had nothing to do with it. When they change their attitude or opinion, things will change somehow, and all there is to it. I mean, Bogdan?
Yeah, I'd say that listen to us and hear what we say and provide platforms for us to express what we have to say. Yeah, and not in a patronizing way, you know, because I have seen also plenty of that. And yeah, we should be treated as equals, not as, after all, you know, I believe we have the right to demand things from Europe because we are defending Europe. We are not just defending ourselves. So it's not like we're gonna beg for it. We have full right to demand and to expect that we will be understood.
I can add also about this decolonization in general, because like we started from ourselves first. I think Ukraine is really succeeding right now in this process, like parallel with the war, because we are like trying to change the names of a lot of streets, squares and subways, because like it was just like full packed with Russian names that has no like any connection with the squares and streets. So I think like Ukraine should first think about itself, about the colonization of own territory, the amounts of people as well. But from the other side, I have like small example. There is Ukrainian representative in France, Anna Karyagina. She is a cultural manager, like dealing with old archive Ukrainian films as well. And she wrote recently an article and told that, one more time, Cannes, they have this blog, Cannes Classics, like showing classical films, and Anna offered them Ukrainian old films like from 20s and 30s, because we have Dobzhan Code Center that have really cool selection that like ex-director of this center managed to collect, but somehow they just refused. So this is interesting, you know. So we have this war, we have this like attempt to understand the roots of this war, and to understand that Ukraine didn't appear all of a sudden, I don't know from what year, not from 1991 or I don't know, but it has really long history, including the history of the cinema. So this is also the process of decolonization of Western mentality, to be aware that we have cinema and it worth to be shown in Cannes, you know. So it's like two sides of one medal for me.
Confused?
Yeah, kind of. It actually was a brutal, in a very kind of brutal manner. Kind of, we're not, okay, it's kind of a rephrase, but kind of we are not hit enough or bombed enough to consider it. Yeah, I can, because I don't know French, she put Ukrainian version in comments, so I'm not sure about the right word, but it was like, we will wait for more harm, so that then we considered. But in general, yeah, she offered, and they just denied, and that's it.
Wow, but with such an answer.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I just, maybe I didn't hear. They say basically Ukraine wasn't bombed enough.
Kind of hit enough, because she put it in the title of the article. You can see this article.
Yeah, because these films are, they are not something that everybody in Europe know, because many of these films were not were virtually unknown until recently, and some entities like the Rental Center are rediscovering them now, and we
actually
are
from France as well, from French archive as well.
Yeah, because we in Ukraine sometimes don't have copies of films, because it is also story of because often they are in Moscow archive, because we were Soviet Union and all that important was stored up in Moscow, and that also big problem. Okay, I'm sorry.
That was a good completion. So, guys, because we are, unfortunately, running out of time, if you have anything else to say, like as closing words for the evening, I mean.
I really have to work, guys. I have so much to do tonight on my computer.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm actually glad that I'm having so much work, because it's kind of a future. So my probably final words would be that I believe in future of Ukrainian cinema, and I believe that altogether, us as filmmakers from Ukraine and other countries, then we move forward and will bring our stories and films to the cinema in Ukraine and around the world. And I would like to thank you for solidarity to our colleagues, friends, and to the entire international community who stand with Ukraine and with Ukrainian cinema right now.
Thank you, Natalia.
Yeah, I can join to the Natasha words. Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation and for solidarity, first of all.
Thank you for coming, Jana. And Serhi, and do you guys have something to say?
Thanks for the opportunity to talk about it, though it always we're always running of time or running out of time. Yeah, when we talk about these subjects. Wish us luck.
Of course we do. Bogdan?
And I would like to add to what my colleague said that, yeah, support Ukraine and Ukrainian cinema any way you can, and let's continue the dialogue. We have a lot of things to say, and we need to be heard.
Yeah. I would like to say that it's, like as you said, it's important that the rest of Europe, and not just Europe, understand the history of Ukraine and understand what is missing there, and understand, because many people don't understand the details of it, and I think it's very important to make the history heard and to promote it as such as much as possible to the West, so that they can change their perspectives and become more supportive. Yeah.
It takes at least an interest from Europe to know such things, and from our side, it would take a lot of effort, and I think rather to be realistic, a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah, don't be like Cannes Festival, not interested and, tone deaf.
We cannot be like
Yeah.
Even if we
Be
try,
supportive,
we want
interested.
it, but we don't. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. I really appreciate it. I know it's... thank you, guys. And we will have the recording also, and we will post it on our YouTube channel, so you can also further give it further and propagate it. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you.